between Yemeni and Israeli military forces after short-range ballistic missiles were fired at Tel Aviv. Al-Masira, a Houthi media channel, said that Israel, for its part, launched a series of attacks against Yemen's capital Sana'a and the city of Hodeidah, located in the Houthi-controlled region of the country. It also said that strikes on the Al-Saleh port had killed 9 people, while another person was injured in the strike on the oil facility. Yemeni military forces continue to attack targets in Israeli-occupied territories. The Lebanese resistance movement Hezbollah condemned the Israel regime's aggression against Yemen, which caused the death of at least 9 people. Through a communique, Hezbollah emphasized that the Israeli attack targeted civilian installations, including power plants, in violation of all international laws. Furthermore, the Lebanese resistance movement pointed out that this aggression reflects the ongoing Zionist brutality and serves as an extension of the open war against the peoples of the Arab nation, particularly Palestine, Lebanon, and Syria. In this regard, Hezbollah called on the unity of the free nations of the world and the resistance forces to confront the aggression against the people of the region. Russian armed forces launched a long-range precision-guided weapons strike against Kyiv military targets in response to the Ukrainian aggression towards a defense facility. The Russian Defense Ministry reported having hit a command center of the Ukrainian Security Service and positions of the Patriot anti-aircraft missile system. Moreover, the Russian armed forces struck the Launch Design Bureau, headquartered in Kyiv, which develops and manufactures Neptune missile systems and Olka ground-launched cruise missiles. On Thursday, the ministry announced that on December 18th, the Ukrainian army targeted a southwestern Russian company with 6 U.S.-made missiles and 4 Storm Shadow cruise missiles. In Venezuela, the president, Nicolás Maduro, denounced the organization Provea of being linked to the CIA. The Venezuelan president assured that the non-governmental organization Provea has been collaborating with the U.S. Secret Service since the 1990s. Likewise, he emphasized that democratic projects will be carried out in the country, contrary to those of the Western bourgeoisie. Furthermore, President Maduro announced that in 1996 he was kidnapped and sent to prison by former dictator of Intelligence Directorate of Intelligence and Prevention, DISIP, after a director of Provea turned him in. Furthermore, he declared that peace will triumph in the country in the face of any threat. Palestinian authorities announced that Israeli occupation forces have massacred 77 Gazans and injured 174 others in the latest 24 hours in the Strip. Overnight, Israeli forces dropped shellings on a residential building in Beit Hanun city, claiming the lives of a married couple and their 2 daughters in the north of the besieged Gaza Strip. Other occupation aggressions toward the city of Rafah and Gaza have left 6 dead and several injured. Meanwhile, thousands of people are still missing under the rubble, as 90% of the Gaza Strip's infrastructure has been destroyed. Moreover, famine made dozens of children and elderly starve to death. The Palestinian Health Ministry reported that 45,206 Palestinians have been slaughtered as a result of the Israeli genocidal campaign in force since October 2023. In Argentina, the government authorized this Thursday 2 of its officials to request support from the armed forces in places they consider of strategic value for the state. The executive power authorized the Ministers of Defense, Luis Petri, and of Security, Patricia Bullrich, to request support from military personnel or from provincial police forces and from the city of Buenos Aires in situations of internal commotion. The decree calls into question the defense law since it does not clearly or explicitly define what a strategic value objective is. Therefore, it gives national officials the power to define or redefine this concept. In Argentina, the National Institute of Statistics and Census reports that unemployment affected 6.9% of the population living in metropolitan areas in the third quarter of this year. This data shows an increase of 1.2% in relation to the same quarter of the previous year. Similarly, the data shows that the number of unemployed rose from 814,000 to 994,000 in just 1 year in the 31 metropolitan areas analyzed. Taking into account the entire population of Argentina, this means that almost 1.6 million people are looking for work and are unable to find it, whereas a year ago this phenomenon affected just under 1.3 million people. In Argentina, this December 20th marks 23 years of the fall of the government of La Alianza, led by Fernando de la Rúa, who left the Casa Rosada in a helicopter after 2 years in office. In the midst of economic, political and social collapse, the government of Fernando de la Rúa was faced with a social outburst of unprecedented proportions, which was repressed under a state of siege, leaving 38 dead, hundreds injured, and 4,000 people arrested. 23 years after the so-called Argentinazo, as each year an event in Plaza de Mayo will take place. The march will be in defense of public health and education, for wages, retirement and pensions, for the right to protest and for all the living conditions and democratic rights, as well as to overthrow the base law of Javier Milei. Asad Michael, a lawmaker who was murdered in Antigua and Barbuda last month, was buried on Thursday following an official funeral. Patrice Martin of the Antigua and Barbuda Broadcasting Services reports on the tributes. Let's see.
Come together to celebrate the extraordinary life and enduring legacy of the Honorable Asad Anthony Michael. While the weight of his loss is immeasurable, we stand united in gratitude for a life lived with purpose, passion, and an unyielding commitment to the people of Antigua and Barbuda.
Sister of the late MP Teresa Ann Michael delivered the eulogy at the official funeral at the Holy Family Cathedral. Though a somber gathering, it was also a celebration for the man who touched many lives throughout his over 2 decades of public service. A large number of people turned out to pay their final respects, one of whom was family friend Dr. Leon Errol Court.
His passion for service was fueled by a deep love for his country. Through his tireless efforts and immeasurable philanthropic contributions, he left an indelible mark on the lives he touched.
Former Member of Parliament for St. Philip's South, Lennox Weston, reflected on the life and service of his student at Sunnyside Primary, who would later become his political comrade.
Assad succeeded in leaving major footprints and a political legacy that will influence politics for a long time.
According to Weston, Michael's priority remained the people of the St. Peter constituency. Weston said he possessed a competitive nature, one he used to his advantage during campaigning and election seasons. Niece of the former MP Marissa Michael, an aspiring surgeon, attributes her dedication and calling to the teachings of her uncle. She echoed some of his advice that remains etched in her memory.
Uncle Asad ensured I understood the value of service and respect. Though a silver spoon may have been on my place setting, I learned to serve with it, whether fetching drinks for guests or helping with hors d'oeuvres. These lessons of hospitality and humility have shaped both my personal and professional journey. I return to the question of who am I? One that has become even more poignant as I interview for a surgical residency. When I get asked what makes me unique, I say 2 things: my ability to connect with people from all backgrounds, and my unwavering dedication to achieving my goals. These traits are both a direct reflection of Uncle Asad's influence and, to some extent, common personality traits we share.
There was a viewing of the late MP's body at his home in Dry Hill early Thursday morning, the location where he met his untimely death on November 5, 2024. Following the funeral service, there was a procession to the St. John's Public Cemetery for interment. Several onlookers gathered along the sides of the road as the cortege passed. At the cemetery, a gun salute and presentation of the flag from the coffin were part of the solemnity of the occasion.